again, fast and firm. Temperatures in the early 90s, low 90s as we get started. Win percentage of favorites right now is at 32%. That's down a little bit from some of our previous meetings. Let's get on to the first. A modest $684 carryover in the super high five. Scratch the 6 elusive Doro. Scratch the 7 cost average. And scratch the main track only number 8. Can I have it like that? These are A other than allowance horses going a mile on the turf.
Excuse me. So, talked a little bit about long shots. So I'm going to start it off with one right here in the first race. My top selection is going to be number 4, Truly Danzig. This horse has a 12-1 morning line. I kind of scratched into this horse. I had cost average as my top selection, but with this horse not running today, I'll go into Truly Danzig. What I like about this horse is trained by Mindy Willis. She can always send some good horses out. She wins some races, wins a lot of races, as a matter of fact, especially when you see Stuart Elliott up. They team up together. When Asmussen doesn't have a horse in and Stuart's able to get on one of Mindy Willis's horses, they always perform fairly well. Truly Danzig gets some decent odds up there right now at 4-1. But, I mean, last time out ran 4th. That was in a mile race on the turf. The time before that was able to pick up a win at a mile on the turf. Those were the 2 races for Truly Danzig this calendar year. It's taken a little bit of time off since April, but it's had some pretty decent works out here on the Lone Star Park track since that last race. I think Truly Danzig could be ready to go here tonight. Number 3, Uncle Artie is going to be my second selection. This one throws the blinkers on tonight. A little bit of a task for coming out of those claiming races into this allowance here, but you know I think this horse can handle it. Has been running a lot on the turf, 15 different tries on the turf. Has 3 wins, 4 seconds, and a couple thirds as well. So that's 9 out of 15. This horse has finished in the money. Has a win out here at Lone Star Park. Has a win at the 1 mile distance as well. I think that came on the main track, I want to say. No, correction. That victory came on the turf out here at 1 mile. So not bad at all last year. But Uncle Artie throwing those blinkers on tonight for trainer Carl Broberg. I think this is one you can watch here. And then I'll take the horse on the outside. That's your current wagering favorite, number 10, Ready to Roll. I mean, there's some things I like about this horse. Brett Calhoun always sends out some very live horses out here. This horse has spent this calendar year at the fairgrounds. Had some time off from last year a little bit to this year. But those 2 most recent races at the fairgrounds, they were both sprint races. So, I don't know. I'm kind of taking this one with a grain of salt. I don't think that this horse's odds are going to be good enough for me to bet in this race, but I'll go with the 4, 3, and then the 10 here in the opener.
You know, I'm going with Uncle Artie. I kind of like the angle of he likes this turf course. I think I picked him last year when he won here. I'm not sure of that, but I know I kind of liked him last year. I think I did. That was opening day, and he was a shade under 2-1. I'm quite sure I had him that day.
I'll go ahead and give him to you. You think you had him? Yeah, you got a winner on opening day, so we're good.
Yeah, I actually had a good opening. I had a good start to the meet last year, which is opposite my normal philosophy, or not philosophy, but MO. This is a race that I think anybody can win. It's down to a field of 7 now, and I think he's about as good as any. Speed figure-wise, they're all kind of a wash. But he seems to like the mile. He likes to pick up checks. He seems to be in decent form. He comes out of that 1.5-mile turf race. It's really hard to get a big gauge on a marathon like that, but he certainly fits this distance. I'm going to take him over Ready to Roll. Now, originally I didn't like him as much because I thought he might have the 9-hole, and he'd get a very wide trip all the way around. He still may get a bit of a wide trip, but it won't be as wide with 3 scratches out of this race. I think he merits a lot of chance. And then Go Speed Racer Goes, my third pick. He's 1 for 1 on this turf course. Generally seems to fire really good turf races. But there's an awful lot of contention in this particular race. And then you got a horse like Painter Party that's, laid a pretty big egg at 7-5 last time. But, all the races prior to that were good enough to maybe wire this field. On to the second race. Texas bred $7,500 maiden claimers going 1 mile. No scratches out of this one.
All right, so I'm going to take the 6 here in this second race. Trainer Thunder Johnson, that's a name that we hear a lot, I want to say Arabians in the fall, right? And
yes,
Thunder,
he does run Arabians
yeah, and runs some decent ones. So with a thoroughbred here at Lone Star, this one's name's Texas Remington. Gets a Lasix for the first time tonight. That's probably a big reason why I'm picking this horse on top is that Lasix for the first time.
First time gelding, too.
First time gelding, too. See, I don't have that in my book here. I like it even better now. But so this horse has run 4 different times. The first 3 races in this horse's career all came out here at Lone Star Park. Was well beaten in all those. Tried a mile last time out. That was at the beginning of March at Sam Houston. That was on the turf. Finished 7 of 8 in that one, so wasn't the best there either. But I'm going to go ahead and take this horse on the surface switch back to the dirt tonight on the main track. Drops down in here for the lowest claiming price of his career at $7,500. So hopefully some class relief will help out number 6, Texas Remington. Second selection, I'll go with the horse on the inside rail. That is your number 1, Valentoro. This is a horse that's coming out of some maiden special weight races into this claiming race right here. The last time this horse was in for $7,500, ran 4th in that race. That was back at Sam Houston earlier this year, and that was at this mile distance. Also making that surface switch back to the dirt tonight. And then my third choice is going to be number 2, Mr. GTO. Just like Valentoro, same trainer here. This one is kind of taking the same steps, dropping out of those maiden special weight races into this claiming race right here, hoping it's a little bit easier spot, and maybe we'll see Mr. GTO get up and hit the board.
All right, sorry I'm being distracted. I got a message about a horse in here named Cord's Cocoa Night, who is a gelding. The interesting thing is he sired a horse for these connections that's running sometime this week. I don't think the horse ran last night, but at some point this week, there's a horse by Cord's Cocoa Night running here. He used to be an unaltered horse. Now he's gelded. I thought that was an interesting tidbit.
If that horse's progeny wins that race, they're going to be thinking twice maybe about gelding. Or I don't know.
But I appreciate that note being passed along. That's why I was not. I was listening to you, but I was on my phone. That said, I'm not going to take Cord's Cocoa Night off a 2-year layoff. I like Texas Remington too. I mean, this is a race where you might as well shop for a price. Whoever's the favorite probably doesn't deserve to be favored. Speed figs really don't make much of a difference here, and they're all about the same anyway. So I got Texas Remington over Final Narrative and Wit America. And, your guess is pretty much as good as mine on that race. Third race, we have a scratch, the 4 Dixie Carousel. This starts the 6-shooter tonight. Carry over $2,795. And these are Texas-bred filly allowance horses.
So I'll take number 3, I'm a Sky Traveler. We've seen this horse out here once this year. Ran a solid 4th in that race. I mean, was beaten by 11 and a half or 11 and a quarter or so, but ended up beating half the field in that race. 2 races back, I mean, this horse ran to the barrel last down at Sam Houston, a stakes race. What I like about this one is going from 2 sprints into a route tonight. And if you take a look at how this horse has performed at the 1-mile distance, you don't have to look that far back. Just look 4 starts back to find one of those 1-mile races. Horse broke its maiden at 1 mile, followed that back up with another mile race at Sam Houston in Allowance Company. Ran second in that one, missing just by a length. I'm a Sky Traveler. I think this horse can repeat how she has done at the 1-mile distance. I think this one comes in on top. Number 2, White Woman Creek. This is going to be a tough horse here in this spot. I do like this horse, but I'm going to take the odds from I'm a Sky Traveler over White Woman Creek. I think this horse is going to get bet down a little bit here, but I mean, rightfully so. I mean, last time out, this horse came from off the pace, ended up winning that race by 4 1/4 length. Drove clear is what the comment says right here. The horse was in for a claiming tag that day. It was also a sprint, so going out to the route here against some of these allowance horses, might be a little tough for White Woman Creek, but I think that combination, J.R. Caldwell, seeing Stuart Elliott up on this horse, I think there's a lot to like about the 2. And then I'll take the number 7. It's a G thing as my third selection. You can't count out these Carl Broberg horses hitting the board. Rye Eckleberry, I mean, he's up toward the top of our leader standings right now. Through 3 weeks of the season or 2 and a day of the season. But it's a G thing. I mean, this horse has had some respectable finishes. Came out here, ran on the 29th of April. Finished second in that race after an awkward start. Before that, this horse put together a 3rd and a 2nd dating back to March. I think it's a G thing. Definitely has the ability to compete with these horses here. And I'm going to pick the horse for 3rd.
This is a race. It's kind of interesting because sometimes, as a handicapper who sends all of our picks out for every race, you sometimes feel an allegiance to pick a horse back that you've used before. In this case, I picked I'm a Sky Traveler last time in that race with Texas Ascot Queen, who just, as the cliche goes, ran off the screen. And It's a G Thing ran second in that race. I liked I'm a Sky Traveler in that race for a variety of reasons, but I didn't stick with her because I also liked White Woman Creek last time. I picked her on top, and she won sprinting. She stretches back out today. She had a really good return from a layoff. She found a nice level in her first start for J.R. Caldwell because I really think that this filly had been overmatched last year after a really stunning maiden win here. I don't know if White Woman Creek can go 2 turns or not, but I think we'll get a pretty good test today. So I took her over I'm a Sky Traveler. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see I'm a Sky Traveler bounce back, though, and run a really nice race. And then I have It's a G Thing third on the stretch out. It's just a matter of, Broberg's numbers are quite good on stretching horses out. We'll see if she can stretch out and run well here. She quite likely will. On to the fourth. This race begins to pick 5 tonight. Non-winners of 2 filly claimers going 3/4 of a mile.
So I'm on number 5, Flew By You as my top selection here. What I'm keying in on is these last 2 races. One of them was at this 6 furlong distance, ran a solid third of that one. Followed that back up at 6.5. My second in that race, both of them coming down at Sam Houston. The most recent race was at the end of February, so it's had some time off. Has worked a couple times since then. Nothing blazing, but a fairly decent workout on the 30th of April. I think that Flew By You after a little bit of time off. This filly could be ready tonight. Number 1, Markup, is going to be my second selection here. Now, this horse is dropping down into a claiming race for the first time in her career. If you take a look, this horse was able to break her maiden right out here on this track. That came last June.
Yeah, looked like $1 million.
Yeah, looked great that day. Followed it up with a couple allowance races out here as well. Never really fired in either one of those, but I think this horse has enough here to get up and hit the board in this claiming race. And then I'll take the number 3, Still Carrying On, as my third choice here. This horse did win 2 starts back. That came up at Turfway at the 1 mile distance. Followed that back up with another mile race up there in a starter race. Was well beaten in that one. But, coming here, hitting this dirt track for the first time here in Texas, I think there's a lot to like there. I like the connections. Austin Gustafson, he always sends out some good horses. Gerardo Mora, he's been winning some races out here as well. I think that Still Carrying On has the ability to get up and hit the top 3 tonight here in race number 4.
There's really a lot of them in here that can potentially win. It's not the biggest field, but it's a really deep field, I think, as far as contenders. I'm going with the 6, Gem Key, in this one. This was a former Kenny McPeak horse, and this filly, was $120,000 yearling purchase. And that's not going to really work out too well. But, she was at Ellis. She was at Churchill. She broke her maiden at Churchill, earned a 65 buyer last June going 3/4 of a mile. I mean, she doesn't appear to be that same filly today, but if she were somehow to run back to that, I mean, she's going to dump this group. But like a lot of these fillies in here, she's not coming in particularly good form. Markup's not in particularly good form. Still Carrying On was beaten by 27 last time, but she can improve here in this spot in a new barn and a new place for Gustafson. Thorny Rose had good speed, didn't hang on last time. Flew By You is coming in with decent form, but, I mean, she's 1 for 14, and I'm going to try to beat Flew By You. I'm taking Gem Key. I think maybe the new surroundings will help. They certainly can't hurt. I think she was probably solidly overmatched in her last 2 starts at least at Oaklawn and Keeneland. So we'll see how she takes to Texas. I got her over Thorny Rose with speed and Markup, who I don't know what happened to her. I mean, when she won that race in June, we thought, man, she's really nice and hasn't won since. That's going to be an interesting race. I'm really curious to see if that race turns out to be formful or not. On to the 5th. Turf sprint here, 5/8 of a mile. Good group here, matched by allowance conditions. Non-winners of 4 or non-winners of 2 other than.
Yeah, so I'll be on the number one, Bedouin Fighter. I mean, this horse has put together back-to-back wins, has raced 10 different times, but started figuring it out in the last 3 races, right? So, I mean, this horse a second and 2 wins. That maiden breaking win did it by 5 3/4 down at Sam Houston in a turf sprint. Came back an allowance race, did the same thing, won that race as well. Both of those wins beat the second place horse was a next out winner. I like that. I'll take the number 1 as my top choice. Number 2, Putman.
Yeah, you want to say Putnam,
Yeah.
but it's Putman.
This horse is going to be my second selection. I think there's a lot to like about this one right here. If you look at how this horse has performed at turf sprints, has finished no worse than third in turf sprints. That's going back for the last couple of years, back to January at Gulfstream Park in 2020. This horse is coming second try off a layoff. This horse is 6 for 7 on the turf in the money. 6 of 8 at this 5 furlong distance. I mean, the horse can sprint. The horse can run on the turf. I think there's a lot to like about this horse. I think it's going to be tough to beat the number 1, but probably going to get some decent odds on the number 2 horse.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think Bedouin Fighter is going to take a lot of money.
And I think Putman is a logical pick if you're looking to try to beat a favorite in one of these races. This might be one. This might be a shot to go. Put this one on your pick 4 tickets and, hope for the best. I think this horse could get up there and sting the field. And then my third choice, I'm taking the number 3, Rebel Posse. This is another one that's got some pretty decent morning line odds. Rebel Posse is getting the Lasix for the first time tonight. This horse has been off since July of last year, where this horse ran in a grade 3 up at Saratoga. This horse had a pretty good career. Something must have happened, I'm guessing, an injury or something like that to see this horse take this much time off. If maybe this horse had one more race under his belt, I might be inclined to pick this one a little bit higher. But having that time off, I think this horse needs a race to get back. The workouts for this horse haven't been blazing fast. But they haven't been too slow either, I would say. And Matt Hebert, he can definitely condition his horses and put them in a good spot. So here in race number 5, I'm going to make it easy and just go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. I'm going Bedouin Fighter as well. He's won 2 in a row. Like you mentioned, he's beaten a couple of next out winners. Sign of War has actually already been a winner this meet, the horse that he beat last time. Seems to be going well, doesn't need to have the lead. He's had a little bit of time off since his last win. I like to see that, training well. My second pick is the 6, Quirky. If you just isolate this horse's turf sprints, they've been really good. 82 Beyer Fig in February, the last time he went to the races. And then he had a turf sprint at Remington in September around Labor Day weekend, ran an 83. He was in the Grand Prairie turf sprint here with My Bow Energies. Remember how good he was here last summer? He ran an 85 while running only 2 lengths behind him. So Quirky can really turf sprint. Doesn't always do it, but when he does, he can be good. He's my second pick. And Tough Charlie, who's another one that loves this turf sprint, is going to be my third pick. On to the 6th. Todd Fincher had a strong duo in this one. Then number 4, Field of Burning, scratched. So now he has a strong, solid single runner here and Raised Before the Flop. That was Rick's top pick. And you took him as well, so this might go in the lost column for me based on last night. But I like the 6 Horn of Plenty, but a lot to like about Raised Before the Flop as well.
Yeah, Raised Before the Flop, this is my top choice here. Todd Finchner, we were talking last night about one of his horses, Xylophone.
Right.
We both picked the horse second, and the horse won the race convincingly.
Of course.
It was a 12-1 morning line. I think he went off at 9-2 maybe. So it took some money.
Yeah.
But it was a nice exacta in there, right? $53 exacta, something like that. But I'll take the 3 here, and I kind of like it that the 4 scratched out of this race. So, before I was kind of juggling which one of these horses do I like the best, and then with the scratch of that one, hey, Todd Fincher's only got 1 horse in here. I think Raised Before the Flop is the one that can take this race. Last time out, ran a second, had some thirds earlier, or dating back to last year at Zia. Broke his maiden down at Zia Park last October. So since then, the horse has finished no worse than 4th. Hopefully this one will be in the winner's circle today. I think this is a good horse. Second choice, I'm going to take number 5. That is Finish Line. This horse was a winner last time out. won it convincingly by 5.5 lengths. This horse has seemed to improve in every start. All three of those starts, this horse has gotten better. We'll see what finish line can do here tonight. And then my third choice is going to be number 6, Horn of Plenty. This horse goes to Carl Broberg for the first start out of his barn. High percentage on those first-time starters out of his barn. I like this horse here in this spot. I'll take the horse third.
I like Horn of Plenty on top, mainly because I still don't really trust those New Mexico horses. They come up and win. Rachel Keithan won with one. Fincher's been winning, at a high percentage earlier in this meet. He's been campaigning at Sunland, but yeah, they have big purses in New Mexico. I just don't know the horses, and I don't quite get where they fit in with everybody else. I went and watched race before the Flops race behind Burns DeBoss, who is going very well right now. The winner of that race won off by himself. Visually, I wasn't that impressed. That being said, he's done well at Zia and at Sunland, and he deserves to be the horse to beat here. But I'm going to go with Horn of Plenty. He gets back into a one-turn sprint. His record's a little muddied. He's 0 for 4 on wet tracks and 0 for 4 with just 1/3 on the turf. So you take 8 races out of that 1 for 15 record. Now he's 1 for 7 with 1/3 on dry fast tracks, which he's going to get today. I think he likes the sprint. Last year, he had a pretty good year overall. He didn't win. He's not big on winning, that's clear. But, going turf to dirt, I'm going to take a shot, maybe get Broberg at 3-1. I took him over race before the Flop and finish line. He moved way up, finish line did with blinkers last time. Won off by himself. That's an interesting race, too, because while I've been burned picking against a couple of Sunland horses so far this year, I still kind of look at them a little askew. Not as askew as you look at Turf Paradise horses.
But when we had one of those Fincher horses, I think might have been Xylophone, had run at Turf Paradise and came and won twice out here. So
you look askew at them, and that puts them straight in the winner's circle.
That theory, I've thrown it out the window this year.
On we go to the 7th. Scratch number 1, Giovanni's Heat. 5.5 furlongs here. Texas bred $15,000 maidens.
All right, I thought this was kind of a tough race to handicap here. You look at Lamp Oil, the number 4, 7-5 morning line odds. But I thought this horse was Werner, whatever. I thought this horse was open to get beat here in this order.
Okay,
yes.
Yeah. Well, anybody coming off a 2-year layoff is vulnerable.
Yeah,
now, I don't care if it's Steve Asmussen or the reincarnation of Charlie Whittingham, but I still pick Lamp Oil. But I'm spreading out in the pick 4 in this race. And the fact that you and Rick both picked Moro Flyboy, just has me convinced that he's going to have a big impact on this race. But we'll see what happens.
Well, the reason I took Moro Flyboy as my top choice was basically process of elimination,
He's the only one that hasn't proven that he can't.
Yeah, so I didn't like Lamp Oil in this spot coming off that 2-year layoff. Even though the horse had some pretty good works out here. Especially for Asmussen. That one back on the 21st of April. 3 of 52 on the morning. His horses don't generally work very fast out here. Just kind of conditions them along. But, this horse could be ready to go and could win the race. But I'm going to go a different way. Moro Flyboy, I get into this one, like I said, process of elimination. I just started scratching off horses that I didn't like. Left me with a first-time starter. And in a field like this, I've got no problem picking a first-time starter. They win races. They can get up and pop. None of these other ones have shown that they can win or really even get close with the exception of Lamp Oil. I like Austin Gustafson. I talked about that. First-time starter for him. Homebred by Wesley Melcher. Let's go ahead and see what Moro Flyboy can do as my top choice. Lamp Oil is going to be second. And then I'll take that other Wesley Melcher bred horse, Moro Code, as my third choice right here. This horse is dropping out of that. Was in the Texas Stallion Stakes 2 starts back. Didn't do too hot in that one. Finished 4 out of 5. Followed that back up in a maiden special weight. Was well beaten in that one. But dropping down here for the tag. We'll see what happens with Moro Code. And I've got it 2, 4, and 5.
Moro Code is also a first-time gelding. So obviously after that maiden special weight fiasco, they decided to, move on. I went ahead and took Lamp Oil. It's a 2-year layoff. What can you say? He's dropping not quite to the bottom, which is actually I kind of like. You know, if this were a $7,500 bottom level race, Steve's dropping this horse to, I'm like, But they're at least going to make somebody pay $15,000 if they want to claim him instead of $7,500. He's got a little bit of speed, and sometimes in these races, it's good to have a little bit of speed. It's only 5.5 furlongs. He didn't run well fresh at all when he debuted in February of 2020 for Asmussen. Then he went to Kerry Craddock's barn. I don't know. I'm going to take him because I don't think it's going to take much to win this race. Storm and Hank is going to be my second pick, 3-year-old dropping out of Texas bred maiden specials. Didn't do a whole lot, but had a little bit of trouble. I wasn't disgraced last time for sure, and then I took Morrow Coat as a third pick. I'm sorry. I'm not using the firster here. I may go down in flames. If I do, I'm sorry. I can't do it in that particular case. Okay, on to the 8th. Really good nightcap. 1 mile on the turf. A other than allowance event. Scratch the 4, Evie's Prince.
All right, so I started it off tonight picking a long shot. I got a long shot here in the nightcap. That's going to be number 8 in Cairo Warrior. You know, this horse has had some experience on the turf, 9 different starts on the turf, has won a couple times, has 4 seconds to show up for it as well, and a third. So 7 out of 9, this horse has been able to hit the board when running on the turf. Has a win at this distance as well, a win at Lone Star Park, putting all those things together. They just keep things that I like, right? Ronnie Craven's the trainer of this horse. I think he picked up a win last night out here on the card. And, I mean, this horse right here has won 2 out of the last 3 races. Could have been 3 for 3, just missed by a head 2 starts back. In one of those races, I mean, this maiden breaking win came at 1 mile on the turf at Sam Houston just back in March. So it wasn't that long ago. And, I mean, this horse ran in March, twice in April, and finished well in all those races. Goes to Ronnie Cravens for the first time tonight. I think we could see this horse in the winner's circle. Second choice, I went with number 5 and Stan's Hook and Bull. You know, a good second last time out. You know, that was at 1 mile on the turf. It came at Sam Houston just a little over a month ago. I think this horse could be ready to go. If you look at how this horse has performed in 1 mile races, has won 2 races out of 7 starts, also has a second and a couple thirds as well, so 5 out of 7 finishing in the money at the 1 mile distance, has a couple wins on our track as well. I think there's a lot to like about Stan's Hook and Bull. And then number 1, From Morrow, is going to be my third selection here. I mean, those horses trained by Asmussen, ridden by Elliott, they're hard to count out. I mean, last time was in a starter race at Oaklawn Park at a mile and a 16th, was beaten in that one by 21 and a half. But take a look at the race before that. It came at 7 furlongs back at Sam Houston Race Park. A good second in that one, just missed by a length and a half. So I think there's a lot to like about From Morrow, and maybe this guy can put together a roadmap to the winner's circle.
I think he's got a good shot. I'm taking him here. This is a really wide open race. I mean, if you really take anybody under 3-1, I think you're not going to be happy, because this is a super wide open race. I can make a case for just about everybody in here. From Morrow, when he's turfed lately, you know, and he's a guy that's been to the post 32 times. When he's turfed lately, it's been in Kentucky, and he's been okay. He's mainly been a main tracker. I mean, that race at Hot Springs, you know, he was in against another Asmussen named Eastside Cool, who this spring went 3 for 5 at Hot Springs. Asmussen's other horse that day, Eastside Cool, a winner, was 7 to 10 in the wagering. So this horse was strictly an outsider and ran like it. But his other races, I think he's been a little bit in much tougher company than he's facing here today. And this is a good field. So I'm taking From Morrow. He's won over the turf. He's not a big winner. He's only 3 for 32, but should work on a good trip inside. Whiskey Not Wine is my second pick. He was way back in the field last time out, made up some pretty good progress at Houston to run a pretty good third. You know, he can't afford to drop that far back, I don't think, in this race, although there is some speed in here for sure. Brock On By just comes out of a career best race at Houston back in March. He's speedy. He's in good form. He could lead for a long way. He's my third pick. Don't overlook Stan's Hook and Bull, obviously. I mean, Cairo Warrior, win over the track. Englander has good speed. I think there's a lot of speed in here, so that sets up for the From Morrows and Whiskey Not Wines and Stan's Hook and Bulls of the group. And Aquamine comes off a really good race to Cairo Warrior, so great way to wrap it up. All right, that's it. Good luck to your selections tonight. And 1:35, the starts for Saturday and Sunday. Rick Lee will be here to talk with us about it tomorrow and Sunday, but good luck tonight.
Yeah, good luck to you as well.
I need it. All right. Thanks a lot for looking in. Once again, we're fast and firm and about 92 degrees. Good luck tonight.